Can you believe it, guys? ARTFIGHT. Just a month away. ARTFIGHT. It's in a month. Woohoo! I'm so happy about this information. ARTFIGHT. Just a month away. Oh wow. Can you believe it? ARTFIGHT. Just in a month. Now I'm sure none of you are thinking, what is ARTFIGHT? But I'm going to tell you anyway. Basically, ARTFIGHT is an online trading game where players are divided into two teams, where you attack, aka draw another OC, to gain points for your team. The attacked user may then choose to avenge, or to pay it over onto another user, and at the end, the team with the most points wins. Basically, it's a super fun art game that I look forward to every year, and I'm making it your problem too. So here's the complete 2026 ARTFIGHT guide for new or returning players. So this is the main page, and at the top you can see Discover, where you can search for members, users, attacks, and here is the character, and when the event does start, there will be the attack option as well. And obviously this is assuming you've already made an account and signed in, as most of these options won't actually be visible if not. Now, talking about the ARTFIGHT rules, which has been quite a controversial, maybe, topic recently. But as ARTFIGHT is, every single year has its own unique drama, as last year was the exact same. Now I'm not going to go into too much detail about the rules, there's just the simple, general rules, which I think are the most you really need to care about. Obviously don't, abuse the other rules, but this video is not about the drama and the 3D model situation. Now to the fun part, which is setting up or editing your profile, depending on if you're new, or, this is your, second or third year. Like me, this is going to be my fourth year, so I'm not a veteran, but I know the basics of, making a nice looking profile. Also, I will win this year. And a quick disclaimer, your profile probably won't end up looking like mine, as you can only get some of the coding stuff with donating towards keeping the website up. But you'll still be able to insert images or stamps, which I've seen a lot of people do, and just generally making it look, nice to read. I would recommend not overdoing it, as if you put too much text, it'll be a lot to read, so some people won't scroll down all the way to the bottom and eventually get to your characters. aka, we know everyone's attention span is rapidly degrading. When you are on your profile, you will see a edit option, and this is where you can put your links, which I would recommend doing, especially if you wanted people to find your Instagram or Blue Sky or whatever. And here we have the actual profile description. Here is the CSS, which is mostly a donation thing. The bit at the side is the main profile and is what everyone will read. So this is the part that you want to make nice. Obviously you can see these, it's pretty easy to understand. It is pretty much like every other writing application, which it has been updated recently to be like that. If you wanted to insert a GIF or a image, to insert an image which is a link, I would recommend using a site called File Garden, which will look like this once you've uploaded an image. And simply what you do is you come here, press this little button, and then insert image, you put it there, insert, and then boom. Quite easy, you've then got an image. It works the same with GIFs and whatever. Usually with your profile, I've seen a lot of people put a little bit about themselves, and then I would recommend putting some of your preferences. So for example, what you're most comfortable drawing, what you aren't, what you are planning on doing, your priorities. For example, if you prioritize revenging or chaining or whatever, and then a little bit of whatever. Just basically just make it you. We also have the typical content stuff, user and site, so you can come here to change your profile picture, although it has to be 100 by 100 pixels, but using a converter site is quite easy for that. You also have what you're comfortable with seeing. Obviously feel free to completely just hide everything if you wanted to, but yeah, it's pretty easy to understand on the profile. And lastly, on profile, we have character permissions, which is basically the global of what you want and don't want people to do with your characters. And if you wanted individual like permissions, that's in the character section. Talking about prepping for ARTFIGHT, you would think, nah, I'm gonna wait until like the week. I would not recommend that. I would recommend starting now, as the time will go very, very fast. Usually what you would need would be a full-bodied, like not shaded image of maybe like the front or back or the front and side. Basically a simple image with like a color palette or whatever. I then chose to add a information board and then also an outfit options as well if you're interested in, for example, people changing the outfits, or you know that some people don't like drawing complex or armor outfits, which is what I am drawing in the background. Another thing I would recommend doing before ARTFIGHT as to prep would be creating a hit list so people can come on your profile and fill it out. I'd say put like what you want to do with the said hit list. For example, this year I'm trying to animate as much as I can, and to create a hit list you should ask some like basic questions. Definitely make sure to ask for a username or link to their profile, what character they would want you to attack, you know, if they wanted to revenge or chain, if they're chaining, how many. Basically, it's just a whole lot of questions. A whole lot of questions so you can decide who you want to attack. Alternatively, if you didn't want to create a hit list, you could go onto your profile and there is an option up here which is called bookmarks, and you could go onto recent characters, scroll, choose one you like, and I'll do randomly. There's also the option here where you can go random user or random character. Random character is this one. I'm sorry for flashbanging your character to YouTube, but up here there is bookmarks. You can write description, the order, so the higher the number, the higher up on your hit list, not hit list, the higher up they will be on your bookmark folder, and you can also make separate folders for that. Now, the ARTFIGHT website does have a habit of either being really slow or crashing on the first day, so when you are taking these bookmarks, I would also recommend like saving them onto whatever device and taking a note of the tag, like copying it into a notepad or whatever, because it will go down. 100% is going down. There's also the case of you by accidentally not bookmarking and losing stuff. Taking a note of the character image and the code, you have less of a chance of losing it. I can't count the amount of times that I by accidentally lost a bookmark, so this is a great way just to counter that. So once you're finished with your prep, you may go up to hit this submit and then release your character. Once you've done that, it will appear on this recent characters screen. Although when the actual event does start, this will be replaced with recent attacks. Although I'm not doing that, I will just be editing my already made characters. So here we have the page that will come up when you do press submit character or are editing a character, where you can name them. I still have to do the description. There's also tags where you can put what you want. There's also credits. For example, if this character does not belong to you or you have not designed them, you can write them here. Here we have the images, and this is where you will upload your character's images. So usually the thumbnail image would have to be 200 by 200, but if you do have the same image and it's not a GIF, you can just choose to use the cropping tool. There's also border decorations as well, which are most commonly used for like attacks, if you want to say what team you're on, for example. Lastly, we have the character CSS and the connections, where you can just simply put the tag that you've seen before into here and press check, and then when it comes up it will like double check that you've got the right character and you just submit it again. You can do this with your characters, someone else's characters, if basically anything. And once a connection is made, you can simply edit it and write a bit more detail about the actual relation between the two characters. And if you are making a connection with someone else's character, make sure you do have permission for that. Also, to make sure that you do note down if there are sensitive topics on the character, as some people might not want to see that, especially if it's unfiltered and you haven't put the tags on in the first place. Tip for choosing the correct thumbnail, I would say do a piece that you think stands out a lot and then just crop it so it's like the face, or sometimes people do like a chibi version, like a full body chibi, just so people can see what the character's design looks like. Obviously this is all up to you and you can choose what you want instead. Although the upload limit is 100, I would not go anywhere near that number, so maybe around maximum of 10 to 20 characters. Also make sure in the description of the character that you write down like design notes for things you don't want people to miss out on, or if you just want to add more detail into things that aren't visible. Onto the topic of attacking. So when the event starts on the 1st of July, the website is going to crash, or it's going to be so slow that it's not going to be able to upload anything. But luckily, if you followed the guide and have saved the bookmarks in a separate location, you'll be able to easily start the second the timer starts. Now there are different ways you can attack. It doesn't have to be, for example, just a digital painting. And luckily ARTFIGHT has a great guide to go through the different options. So when you do finish and submit an attack, there will be sizing and details options, and all of these together will calculate how many points you will score for your team. There are things like friendly fire, which will reduce the amount of points, but not as much as they used to in the previous years. So this is the sizing chart, and it basically says the different options of how you would categorize what you have drawn. There's also more references of exactly different styles to show you exactly what you would want to put your drawing as. So talking about either digitally painting or traditionally painting or drawing something, there is the options of how finished the actual art is. For example, the rough sketch, line art, lineless, just cleaned. And then there's also color of how much you've colored it, uncolored, rough color, clean color painted, shading. It basically just goes into all the details of how you would categorize what you've done. Now lastly, once you have filled out all the things, at the bottom there will be a little checkbox labeled polish, and this is if you've put extra effort into the piece and you feel like it deserves extra points. While you are attacking someone, make sure to look at their permissions, as you don't want to draw something that they are against. For example, some people do not want you to change hairstyles or the gender of the character. And checking out permissions also could be a great way to see what someone would want their character to be drawn, and they will give you ideas for that. The attack page looks pretty close to the submit page and edit page. Obviously, you just aren't able to edit it once it is finished. The only thing you can change is the thumbnail. All the options that I've said before would usually be at the top here, and then you can also put a private and public description for it, as well as a title. For thumbnails, I have seen some people do a funny thing where they draw a very goofy version of the art piece and then a full piece, and I find that pretty funny, but obviously it's something you don't have to do. There's also the option to add a border, which I love to do, just to kind of put the attacks together a little bit more. Now this is the end of like the beginner part of this guide. The rest is mostly just tips and tricks, or ways you can get your characters seen, and ways to make sure you don't burn out and generally just have a great time during the event. But if you've watched this and still have some questions, feel free to to message me. This is also totally not a shameless plug of my profile. Tip number 1. Join the ARTFIGHT Discord. Seriously. If you wanted to advertise your characters or search for profiles off the website, this is a great place to do it. They have a channel which is called Target Hunting, where you can write a little bit about your characters, show off some of your art, and scroll and find hit lists, profiles, whatever pretty much. It is a great place to put yourself out there if you wanted to be seen, basically. Tip number 2, take breaks a lot during the event. And I know this is bold words coming from someone whose posture looks like this during drawing. Look after your physical and mental health, so taking a walk, taking a snack break, anything just to make sure you're doing okay. Especially making sure to stretch your hand and your body so you don't die. Well, you probably won't die, but you won't be in pain. Tip number 3 is more if you're a world builder or you have separate worlds where your characters do come from, is to mark them with like a little symbol so people know what characters would or could be drawn together. Tip number 4 would be don't expect to get a revenge, as some people just don't have the time, are getting too many attacks, or, you know, things in life happen. I personally do try to get as many revenges as I can, but obviously everything happens. You might not be able to do them. So if you focus on the giving part of the event, it's just the best way to not get yourself upset if you don't receive anything in return. If you are one of those people who do struggle with getting art back, you can always have a little tag in your profile that says, you know, not guaranteed revenge, or what I have done, I've put it so that I say, I will revenge you, but it might take next year as well. Although not to brag, I currently have completed all of my revenges, but it might change this year. Tip 5, setting realistic goals. So, what I like to do is set a realistic goal and then an over-realistic goal. So if you do complete the first goal, you can try above and beyond. What I like to do is like an endurance month to see how many I can do. Although last year, I did try focus on doing mostly full bodies, which I will admit has made some of the art quality a little bit less than I'd want it to be. So this year, I've told myself to instead go for a lot more headshots, chibis, whatever, as well as the goals of the animations that I want to do. Also keep in mind that while you are attacking, you may also receive an attack, and if you do want to revenge it, you know, that's another art piece that you will have to do. I would recommend adding them to your total attacks, even if it is technically a revenge. So tip number 6 isn't really a tip, nor a necessity, but it is towards if you do receive an attack, putting a nice comment in it would make someone's day, especially if they've spent a lot of time, you know, drawing one of your characters. Although if you are someone who struggles with words like me, what I have done is I've collected some funny, you know, reaction images of basically something nice to give back. And if you do have time, drawing custom ones of your character would be hilarious. If you do attack someone and they don't leave a comment, don't feel too discouraged, as, for example, if you're attacking someone who gets a lot of attacks, they might have generally just not seen it, nor have had the time to react. You can just imagine them being, like, stressing out, trying to get as many revenges as possible. And also, keep in mind time zones exist, so they may generally just be asleep. Or busy. Tip 7. If you are purposely attacking people based on revenges, the things you want to look out for is when someone was last active, and their attack to defense ratio. If you wanted 100% guarantee that you got something back, look for someone who has not been attacked yet at all, and has only been attacking. But after all, you may still not get something in return, so prioritize the giving aspect of the game to minimize your upset for not getting anything in return. Tip 8. If you have a character that you'd prefer to get more art from, some people have put these star systems or like a little emoji next to the character. This can basically show which character you would prefer to be drawn. You can also reorganize your characters so that the ones that you do want seen are at the front, although not everyone does put their favorites at the front and generally don't mind who you draw. For example, I've put my newer characters at the front, but I don't mind if my old ones would be drawn as well. Tip 9 is to just simply follow artists that you do like the look of their art and characters, as you will have a subscriptions section to look at the new ones that they release as well. And lastly, tip 10, although I didn't go into much detail about it, I would recommend reading through the rules for yourself so you have a better understanding of what is allowed and what isn't allowed on the site. And that's pretty much all you need to know about ARTFIGHT. Obviously, I have missed some basic stuff that I can already remember. For example, you can change your team, traitors, basically. Last thing I've got to say, remember to hydrate. This event is in summer. Other than that, I hope you all have a great ARTFIGHT if you decide to join. And that's my very long, hyperfixated rant about ARTFIGHT. I'm gonna get back to my animated series now. Yippee!